it's the baby's heart that is pumping the blood to the placenta, through the placenta, and back to the baby's heart. So the placenta is part of the baby and part of the baby's circulation, in this case your circulation. And there is part of the placenta, or the wall of the uterus, that is the mother's part of that placenta, but the placenta that breaks away at the end, that is all governed and part of the baby. And it's big, you know, it's quite a big thing, and it extends. So it creates an environment where you as the baby have a certain amount of space. It's not, oh, you're getting blood from the mother, you're in the womb from the mother, so you're surrounded by the mother. In a way, you've got an interface. The placenta makes an interface in that you have the placenta, and then the bag that you're in is an extension of the placenta, and that comes all around you. So that whole bubble is fed from your heart. So that is part of you. But in a way, that is going to detach at the end. You know, the bag will break, the placenta will come unattached at some point. It isn't going to be part of the end product, but it gives a space that becomes a bit like your aura. It creates a space around you that is yours within the environment of the mother. So even when you're in the womb, you do have your own space, you do have an auric field to it, and it is your blood pumping back and forth through all of that. And the mother's blood does come to that, and the capillaries open, and there's a space, and there's a membrane basically between two, and what is necessary for the baby comes through that, and what the baby is eliminating goes out through that. And I guess that the baby's blood will need different things than the mother's does. The mother is becoming a mother, and all the hormones that are involved in that are happening for the mother. And the baby is forming, it's creating this huge amount of stem cells. There's all of this activity. So I guess it's bringing in particular parts of the blood for that, and then creating the hormones and all the different things in its brain. So the baby's blood supply, my guess, is going to be of a different type and feel to the mother's. And I'm just kind of making it clear, it gives you this space. So it's not just you and the mother, it's you, an interface, and the mother. And the placenta, or the blood coming through the placenta and to you, it's doing the job of eating. You don't have to eat. It's doing the job of breathing. The lungs are collapsed. The capillaries are fine in the lungs. It's not open like when we're breathing air. The organs, they may start working little bit by little bit as the baby goes along, but to start off with, all of that is the mother's blood coming to the placenta and then feeding you. So in a way, the placenta is providing all of that. So it's a bit like all of your organs and your lungs. So to that extent, it is part of you. What it doesn't have nerves. Your nervous system does not extend into the placenta. It doesn't have bones. I don't think it has muscles. But I think when you leave, you've been so dependent on that. It's kind of so, in the same way as all of your organs and your lungs are part of you, you wouldn't want to lose them all of a sudden, or you would be a parting to change from that to something else. It is a death in a way. It is losing a friend at the very least. So we will start off with, rather than just going straight into birth, we'll just start off being in the womb with the placenta. And then when the bag breaks, then we'll more move into birth. And we're working with quite a lot, but we'll just be aware of the placenta in the background and see what transpires with that. We'll also, let's just get a couple of balloons. 1 minute. So, in birth, well, in holographic breathing, there's a similar thing that happens in cranial osteopathy or cranial sacral therapy. In that, on the in-breath, there's a general shortening of the whole body and an expansion. And then on the out-breath, there's a general lengthening of the body and a narrowing. And this is normally edited out. Normally the contraction of the breath or the shortening of the muscles is edited out of our experience of breathing. But in holographic breathing, you can come in contact with that, and it's fairly easy to feel this contraction through the body that is causing the expansion, and then this lengthening and relaxation that is allowing it to narrow. Now, with our lungs, they expand in all directions. So within the lungs themselves, there is an experience of the breath opening in all directions, but that is not so in the rest of the body. In the abdomen is sealed. And for the abdomen to expand, you've got the diaphragm on the top and the pelvic floor at the bottom. There's a contraction top to bottom, breathing in, and that causes the expansion laterally in all directions. Breathing out, it lengthens, the muscles relax and it lengthens, and the abdomen narrows and comes in. So there's a breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and that gives a very different quality of the breath. It gives a very different quality just feeling everything expand. And it's the same in the brain. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. It's the same through all of the muscles of the spine. Sorry. I wasn't expecting to use this today. Hopefully it will work. So here we have the spine. Oh, have I lost one? I think I might have lost the thingy. Never mind. One of the little dooblies has fallen off the top, but hopefully it will work. So with the spine, all the muscles of the breath and down the whole spine and through the small of the back into the pelvis, they're all shortening on the in-breath, lengthening on the out-breath, and the dynamics of all the muscles in the chest and the intercostal muscles shortening to lift the ribs. What happens in the spine is that the spine shortens on the in-breath. Breathing in. I'm not sure. See this little red bit at the top, it will move away. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, a very hydraulic motion. Breathing out. So Breathing in, everything is shortening and widening. Breathing out, everything is narrowing and lengthening. Breathing in, breathing out. And this becomes very apparent in birth, because the uterus is the same. The uterus is the same as that. It's contracting, you get the contractions, and the baby isn't going to change volume. So as it contracts, there's a certain amount of expansion to the sides. So within the womb, breathing in, or contraction, which is the same as an in-breath. The contraction is an in-breath, but there's an expansion to the sides. Then between contractions, there's a lengthening and narrowing. Contraction, between contractions, and within that you've got the mother's diaphragm coming down into the space and at the top of the uterus. So you get contraction, but also the mother's diaphragm breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and between the contractions, still breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. So the mother's breath are like lots of minor contractions and relaxations, and that is what we will be working with to birth ourselves. And for the people who haven't been here before, I'm just checking that everyone's here now. For people who haven't been here before, the way we drop into birth is that we drop in ourselves into our pelvis, and when we get inside our pelvis, there's this feeling of birth. Suddenly there's an experience of being born, but also we are the mother giving birth. So it produces this whole dynamic where you're no longer kind of a victim of birth. You're no longer being born by another or giving birth to another. You are giving birth to yourself. So all of the karma from the mother's side and the baby's side can start playing backwards and forwards within yourself. So that's how we work with it. And also the movements of the breath align. With the cranium, it expands to the sides on the in-breath, it contracts medially. So there's this movement of the cranium. Within the pelvis expands to the sides on the in-breath and narrows on the out-breath. The cranium shortens front to back on the in-breath and lengthens front to back on the out-breath. The same in the pelvis, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in. So as we as the baby drop down into the pelvis, the breathing motion of the cranium matches the breathing motion of the pelvis, and they exemplify each other. They kind of magnify that movement. And within ourselves as a person, the breathing motion of the pelvis is always mirroring the motion of the cranium. So it brings lots of different things together. I was expecting to explain so much, and there are many other videos where I have just made the lecture part of this free, where I've gone into the anatomy of those different subjects in much more detail. But as we're quite a long way down the line and we're just doing it all together, I'm not going to go into depth, but I will make a list of all of those lectures and send them out to people, so that if you want to look at that in more depth, the movement and the different things, you can. So on top of that, these different things, we're going to work with the different energies of the pelvis. Now I'm going to mention some of the ones we're going to work with. You don't have to remember this. I will be mentioning them in while we go through the guided meditation. The deep earth energies, which are a lot to do with the liver and pancreas, gallbladder, are the sit bones. The baby's head is coming down through the sit bones, so it's the bottom of the sit bones relate to the deep earth energies in the pelvis. They also relate to all different places through the whole body, but in the pelvis, then the sit bones. The fire energies, which relates to the ovaries, testes, uterus and prostate, which obviously the baby, or you as the baby, is in the uterus, is more to do with the pubic arch and also the start of the wings of the pelvis. Again, don't try to remember this. I will mention them as we go through. I'm just giving you a picture. What we go into it to start off with is this sideways motion, which is to do with the lungs, to the sides of the pelvis, or the sides of the wings of the pelvis here, and also the rectum. Then the blue energies, which is more the vagina, the penis and the urethra, that is this inner, I wonder if I can put this in a way you can see it, this inner circle around here, that rim there to there, and from here to here. The clitoris and the erectile tissue of the penis, this is the yellow energies, another circuit we work with. We will be including that as we go through it. And the vulva and the head of the penis, this is much more to do with the higher energies. Now, I don't really feel to do a lot of talking today. A lot of it we will just do in the meditations. We may do an extra meditation. I'm not sure, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I'm not being pulled to do a lot of explanation, and we will go in however it goes. I just want to mention a couple of the activations we'll do. Now the cervix, if I'm going to have to sink down a bit to be the baby, you've got the cervix here, and you start getting the kind of breathing of the mother and the contractions, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. They're causing if you think of the cervix as a diaphragm, with that you start breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. It gradually gets further till it's kind of flattened across here, and breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, until it gets to this point. And that is the intersection between the first and second phases of birth. The first phase is just the uterus pulling the cervix down around the baby's head. You're not pressing at that stage. It's because the baby's head isn't into the vulva yet. It's just like it's a bit like you're pulling this polar neck sweater down around the baby's head. And when it gets to here, the pressure is then inward, so it can't actually slide back up again. And at that point, it's not going to slide back up. And it changes from endorphin based, which is all the painkillers, to adrenaline based, because when you go through that and the baby's head comes into the vagina and the vulva here, then is the time to push. But at this point the contractions stop and there's this deep quietness, and as the hormones change one from the other, there is this kind of ecstatic, euphoric type feeling. Now that is in real birth, you do feel that in this, but more so what you feel in this is the energetic initiation that takes place in that pause between the two halves. So this is important. I can feel the energies kicking in. They weren't really kicking in while I was explaining that, but they are kicking in now. So this pause is important. It's an initiation. In that time, the pelvic floor starts igniting, the kundalini rises, and it initiates through the third eye and the hypothalamus area, through that area. So in that waiting, there is that initiation, and we'll be sitting there into that initiation and let that fully take its time. And in normal births, I know a lot of kind of more holistic midwives will, notice that space and really get the mother to sit into that space, but quite often that may be rushed through, and in our initial births that may have been rushed through. So we're going to spend time to really sit into that initiation, and that will have transformating effects through our brain, through our nervous system, through our whole body, which what we may have missed in birth we can get now. And it's also it's also a spiritual thing. It is the kundalini. It is a spiritual activation. It's not just, oh, the baby's going to be healthy and everything's going to work. It is connecting spiritually. The second one, and now I don't know if this is one in birth, but there's so first you get born through the cervix, and then the vagina, you're coming through the vagina and you've got the vulva here. Then you're becoming born through the vulva. And for me, there's a similar thing. When the vulva is around this area, that is a very good time to wait, and there's an initiation. Whether that's in actual birth, I don't know, but there's an initiation through that time. It ignites the crown chakra. It just ignites through the whole body, the brain, the arms and legs, the spine, the kundalini. It's not the same as the first one. The first one is very much getting the hypothalamus going. This is more the brain, the arms and legs. And then you're coming out through your own pelvis, and you end up, the head is out, but the shoulders are still in. So the contractions and the mother's breathing is no longer shortening to the top of the head, it's shortening to the shoulders. And what that shortening and lengthening does there, it activates the lungs. So we'll spend a bit of time with that, allowing the lungs to activate. And we have to turn there. As we come down, as the baby, to start off with, his pelvis is just it's completely, it's a it's that, there was you had the either one. You could have a solid one. I thought, no, I want one that's moved, but I didn't expect it to move quite as much as it does. The baby's face is, you're backwards. The face is into the sacrum, the back of the head is into the pubic arch. So you're facing back, you've kind of gone down and you're facing towards your own sacrum here. And then the head, the back of the head is coming out here. So this is the back of the head, and the face is rotating around the curve of the sacrum. The back of the head comes out here. But that means the shoulders are sideways here and they can't get out because of the sit bones. And what happens, the head comes out here, then you spend time turning to one side or the other, so you're facing out towards either one leg or the other, and then the head is at the side, and that means that the shoulder can drop under. You see this V shape? That gives the space for that shoulder to drop out. Normally the midwife will kind of pull the baby's head down a bit just to allow that shoulder to drop out that way, and then you've got the one from the sacrum which lift the head this way and it brings that shoulder out. And then the baby, after the shoulder's out, the baby will just slide out really easy. There's nothing to stop the baby now or yourself being born out of your own pelvis. And when you come out, you've got the umbilical cord to the placenta. And as that gets cold, the gel in the umbilical cord goes solid, and that stops the blood flow to and from the placenta. So suddenly you're not getting any oxygen, you're not getting any food, you're not getting any oxygen. This is probably quite a hairy moment for the baby. He's kind of building up carbon dioxide in its body. But also before that time, you've got this pressure around the whole torso. You've got the pressure of the womb and everything, and you're outside, and suddenly the pressure is released and there's this impetus, and you suddenly get and you take the first breaths. And as you do that, the lungs start opening, the fluid may come out of the lungs, and all the blood capillaries in the lungs open, and you get this whole complete change of your anatomy. You're moving away. This is the death of your previous environment. This is the death of your life in the womb. This is the death of your friendship with the placenta. Everything you've needed has been coming from that placenta ever since you've known anything. And suddenly it's not there, and suddenly you're getting the oxygen, and there's a different quality to it. I don't know why there's a different quality, but when you suddenly breathing, it really, you can feel that oxygen driving through the brain. It may be just that there's quite a lot of build-up of carbon dioxide before you take that first breath, but definitely as you take that first breath, it just really pours through the brain, activates out, or just the prana. Maybe it's just the prana aspect of breathing your own breath. There's this energy, initiation of the lungs. Again, really important initiation. You know, my generation, we didn't get to sit and relax. We got a good whack on the backside to actually breathe in. Not like, oh, we'll relax and take our first breath in a deep, relaxed way. We took our first breath in trauma. So you'll be there on the mother's side. There's no need to start going up to the breast or anything like that at that stage. You initiate the lungs. You get used to that initiation. This is another initiation, and rather being rushed away to be washed, have your umbilical cord cut, try to be put on the breast. We're just going to wait there and take the initiation of the breath. And we will be there until that is comfortable and finished. Then after that, we come up to the breast, and the baby will start making its own way. The mother can help it. Not a big rush for food, it's okay. And then breastfeeding is like a subtle form of holographic breathing. No, holographic breathing is like a subtle form of breastfeeding, it's that way around. And that starts all this intrinsic movement of the bones so they can realign, of the breath through the spine, the breath through the pelvis, the breath through the arms and legs. I can see some people passing out. There is the whole initiation of birth. There is also the channels that come through when I work, and quite a lot of time people are passing out and going to sleep. Don't fight it too hard. It's really fine to drop in and out of consciousness. It's not a problem. Holographic breathing's always been like that. Maybe just my voice, I don't know, but it does seem like the energies that come through as it goes through people's brain just knocks them out. But when we come on the breast, then you've got the nutriments coming through, and that's coming into the esophagus, and we're breathing with holographic breathing. You feel this energy milk coming down into the stomach, down into the digestive tract. This is an initiation of the gut, of the digestion, of the organs, of your grounding. And again, if you're phasing in and out this time, just let it happen. It's a change of the brain. Just let the energy go through your brain and allow that. And as the abdomen initiates, that also automatically initiates the brain. And it's another death. We're moving from the placenta, our friend, the placenta giving us all our nourishment. Suddenly we're getting it from the mother's breast. So this friend we've had, and this connection, and this thing that has kept us alive and fed us and breathed us for 9 months, we're saying goodbye. So there is new life. There are these activations. But in every activation there is a death of the old. So we're going to take that into account. And we come to our own breast in that. And then what there was at that stage in the last one, that initiates the abdomen. It dropped down into the pelvic floor, the genitalia, the sit bones, and there was just another kundalini initiation from the pelvic floor to the top of the head. So we will spend time sitting into that as well. And I may have missed out some initiations. I've just gone under my own steam with this. When we started, I didn't know there were any initiations, and one just happened on its, well, several just happened on their own. And a midwife lady said, no, you're right, there are different things at that stage. We'll definitely include the hands and feet and arms. And what there is, that is just fantastic, and I'm sure because mothers have used holographic breathing in birth, and most say just almost completely takes the pain of birth away just for normal birth. But what there is in holographic breathing with the hands and feet, like breathing in, breathing out, and this same pouring that animals and babies do with the hands and feet aligns with the breath in holographic breathing. So we'll be doing that within the birth. And it's really great. As you do that, you feel it working through all the diaphragms, and you can connect it to the cervix. That's like the cervix, the same as the hands and feet opening, cervix opening, cervix closing. It's more from the feet. The feet do it more than the arms, but it's like breathing in, the cervix is spreading, breathing out, cupping. And that's the same as all of the diaphragms. All the diaphragms, the ones this way up, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And then the underside of the cranium and also the pelvic floor. People say that the pelvic floor drops on the in-breath. For me, not. For me, these come together on the in-breath and apart on the second. And at the very least, the pelvic floor holds against the diaphragm dropping. And that also aligns with this shortening top to bottom, and also when you're breathing with the cervix or the diaphragm there, the cervix, you're breathing with the pelvic floor at the same time. They're both opening, and both diaphragms breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. All right, so we'll be including this pouring of the hands and feet in this. So breathing in, hands and feet opening, just very subtly breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And you'll feel that activating through your whole body. But the same way as babies do it, I think if mothers did that through their birth, I haven't taught mothers to do that through their birth, but I think if they did, really would help the whole thing.